In her State of the State address, Governor Lujan Grisham challenged lawmakers to spend fully half of their capital outlay money on broadband expansion. She called it, quote, the most urgently needed infrastructure investment we can make as a state, end quote. The Senate and House have each passed bills to create a state office for broadband access and expansion, noting that there's no statewide plan for broadband expansion and saying that means New Mexico is doing something it rarely does, leave federal matching dollars on the table. Lieutenant Governor, why is and you've been around this issue for a long time, Lieutenant Governor, why has this been such a tough nut to crack? What's been the issue? Has it just been money, or has it been something else besides money?
Well, I think it's a combination of the cost of investing in infrastructure. It's not sometimes as sexy as some of the policy issues. But I will say it's been about 9 to 10 years coming to what they've just passed in the legislature, which is to finally put it in the Office of Information Technology, have a complete division that can take all the 6 functions, efficiency, governance, and getting the real successes will be more access to federal dollars and rural New Mexico, finding out where we don't meet FCC standards. And if we're ever going to, what we learned in the pandemic is that people can work anywhere, but they can't work anywhere if they don't have connectivity. And so I know from my experience in Hillsborough, New Mexico, people trying to come there and buy houses that teach classes in other parts of the country, they just can't do it because they don't have enough connectivity to make sure that they can do the things they want to do. But they want to work remotely in a smaller community. So I think, Senator Michael Padilla has been really working this issue for the last 6 or 8 years. And finally, I think this is a real successful bill of creating opportunity. I don't know the answer to whether the governor was successful in getting them all to contribute money to the broadband effort.
It's a big ask. Yeah.
There's going to be lots of federal dollars coming in, and we can match some of those. And I think it's a real step forward in economic development, frankly.
Serge, Senator Padilla is a co-sponsor of the bill. Interesting, he has a quote in the paper here. Let's see here. He says the state doesn't have a blueprint for broadband as it stands now. I would personally take issue for that. I think there's been a lot of blueprints out there for about 15 years, but we're here now. And we're not sure how much money, as the Lieutenant Governor just mentioned, is going to come out of this session, but we do know it's going to be tens of millions and maybe even 9 figures, honestly. How should we start?
Well, that is a great question, Gene. I think
it's a tough one. How should it's?
Yeah.
Who wins early? You know what I mean? It's difficult.
Right. I think the start is to focus on, look, we are starting now to recognize that broadband is not just a luxury or and decommodifying it, treating it as like a utility, something that's essential to not just, as Lieutenant Governor said, work, but health, education, access, political participation, all of these things. And so I think the way the place to start is to obviously focus on the places that have no connectivity, that have no access to this, that are really missing out, and look at some of the things. Just last week, the Jemez Pueblo turned on its some more broadband access on a network that it owns. It's tribally owned with others, right? Looking at those models and understanding that, that broadband is not going to be, incentivizing the market has not worked. It's not, the market has failed a lot of folks in New Mexico.
Right.
And looking at how we can really, really approach that, not again as a commodity or, look at some sort of market solution, but to say, how do we immediately roll this out to the places that need it is so important, and to the standards that not just what the FCC says, but what we think is actually going to be the standard that allows you to go to school now and in a few years, and meet and look down the road a teeny bit, as we've been trying to do as a state, and I applaud that. But this is the 3rd or 4th time we've had a conversation in the last year about how crucial this is, and I'm excited that things are happening and we're starting to recognize the value of this as a state.
Daniel, Cliff Pirtle had a little bit of heartburn about the idea of opening yet another governmental office to handle something that, in a lot of states is handled by the private side, honestly, through investment and all that kind of a thing. Do you share that concern that we don't need another office and personnel and salary and all the things that go with it?
I mean, you love to get me to be the anti-government guy, Gene. I'm with you. I got it. I mean, I'm not sure that there's not a function of government that can handle this today if they want to handle it. But I think we're missing the real discussion, right? I don't think that there's a lack of desire to want to have broadband in New Mexico. I think, one, there's a lack of finances. Two, it is an unbelievable cost. I mean, since I was in the legislature, it was all about running cable. Then it all became about running fiber optics. Then it became about getting the G1, G2, G3. Now we're up to G5,
right.
5G service. I mean, it's just, now you've got. So I mean, at some point, I'm with Eugene. We've had a blueprint for what we can do. The problem is it's unlike other states, Rhode Island, New York, even California, Texas to some extent. When you live in a place like the Lieutenant Governor's talking about Hillsborough, drilling 2 miles of cable to get it laid in that community is not cheap. Mm-hmm. It is extremely expensive.
It's $500,000 a mile. That's right.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So you start talking about how do we wire New Mexico. Then on the flip side, I spent a lot of time in my motorhome, and there's a lot of conversations about getting internet in motorhomes. And, you got Elon Musk right now who's working with a satellite that's working to give satellite broadband access. It's about $135 a month right now. It's not out completely. It's about $400 to get the equipment, then $135 a month. And as long as you got a straight shot to the sky, mm-hmm. you're supposed to be able to get 5G quality internet service anywhere. So I think the problem that's been around in New Mexico in this issue has been, every time we've decided to jump on board for something, we're on the tail end of it, right? Yeah. I mean, you want to go run a bunch of cable and then it's wireless. So if we're going to do this, I'd like to see us, we've talked about Spaceport, we've talked about Rail Runner, we should be at the front end of the technology, because I can tell you, if you get something on the front end that kind of works in rural New Mexico, it's better than nothing. And the last thing you want is to tell these folks, hey, we got to run, we're going to dig up all the mountains, dig up all the roads, run all these cables. And, 5 years after we do all this, you're not going to have an option anyway, because the cables don't handle the actual service that's
a concern. Delivered. That's a legit concern. Technology moves on.
I do think there's a private sector solution to it.
That's right.
But I think it's going to be satellite.
Well, you wouldn't be alone on that. Lieutenant Governor, our Department of Information Technology put a price for an entire broadband rollout statewide, a price tag of $2 to $5 billion. And that was a lot of sticker shock. LFC reacted pretty strongly. Do we just have to get to a point, Lieutenant Governor, where we understand that is the price of modern, technology? If we want to play globally, we're going to have to pony up big to make this happen. Who has to sell this idea? I mean, how do we do this? $2 to $5 billion.
Well, I think that it's a matter of change of thinking. The culture about infrastructure is roads and highways, yep. and trains and buses and mm-hmm. maybe even buildings. But broadband is becoming a part of the basic infrastructure of life, and so we do need to change that thinking. But if there's ever a time to do it and to do what this bill's doing, to bring together, it's been very spread out. And mm-hmm. so there are many agencies involved, and this will be a chance for those to come together under one umbrella, so to speak. But if there's ever a time to do it, it's now, when we're getting these federal monies that we can actually take advantage of and make some of those first investments. Economic development in very small rural communities really is somewhat dependent on that. If they're going to thrive, or if they're going to just be an older community where things, where the population dies out and they go away and they close the post office and they're done. So I think that for economic development on a broader scale outside of the most populated areas, it's a real critical element. And I hope that administrations in the future continue, because it's not going to be just under this administration. or even maybe the next one.
I couldn't agree more. I want to support Lieutenant Governor's thought on that. If, in case you haven't seen it going on around the country, there is a huge push right now to get broadband in communities like the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, like smaller New Mexico communities, because folks want to work remotely. There are folks all over this country looking for some place to go that's smaller, but they want to be able to work, so we have to get after this. That'll have to do it for broadband, though, without question, it'll come up again